Now, if you watch a lot of golf on TV, you'll notice how top players all grip the golf club differently. They might be strong, they might be weak, or they might be neutral. You see guys like Jordan Spieth, Jon Rahm with a weak grip, and you might see guys like Henrik Stenson with a strong grip, or Tiger Woods with his standard grip. But really going from there, from common golf instruction, you'll be led to believe that only Tiger Woods can hit the ball well because he's the only one with a standard grip. But we can see that's not the case. They all play extremely well to the top level of the sport. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you could have a different grip type, whether it could be weak or strong or even standard, and make it work for your golf swing. So I'm Jonathan Chown with JChownGolf. Let's get right into it. So like we said, if there's anything we've learned from top players in the world over the last decade, is you can really grip the club any way you want. You've just got to match it up correctly in your golf swing. So I know a lot of you out there will have been told by instructors that you may have seen that you must have a standard golf grip, and that is completely wrong. Now you can have a standard golf grip, but it is not necessary. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you here how you can grip each different way, so weak, neutral or strong, and really make them all work for you. So let's get into how we make these grips work, and let's get into a weak grip to start off with. So a lot of you will go for a lesson with this grip, and for sure your instructor would try to change it because he wouldn't really know. And I know this isn't all instructors, but I know a hell of a lot of them now that still do not know how to match up a grip type with, you know, the appropriate wrist angles in there. And this is going to be really the main thing, is getting the right wrist angle for your grip is huge. So really from here, what we see with players with a weaker grip, so when you're looking down at the golf club, you are seeing more, let's say 1 or 1.5 knuckles on your left hand. Let's say your right hand as well is weak. That would be more to where the crease that gets created between your thumb and your meat of your hand here, that arrow points more up towards your face. So quite a weak grip. Now, this is where wrist angles come into it, quite a big amount. We see with all those players, whether it's a Jordan Spieth, whether it's a Jon Rahm, whether it's a Tony Finau, we see them all at the same position at the top of the backswing, same wrist angle, and that is with a flexed left wrist. We see that with them because that is the only way for them with a weak grip to square up the club face. Let's say if I went into the top of my backswing now with a flat left wrist, you're going to see how the club face is going to be quite open at the top. That will really be quite detrimental to your golf game. And let's say, God forbid, you had a cupped left wrist with a weak grip, that club face is going to be so open you would never be able to consistently hit a good golf shot from there. So with a weak grip, we've got to make sure we have a bowed left wrist. Absolute must. So we have various ways we can do that. I'll show you a drill to do this in a minute. You can really make sure that, one, you can preset this wrist angle at setup. Look at Bryson DeChambeau. See how he sets up his golf ball? I mean, he's doing a lot at setup, more than just presetting his wrist angles. But Bryson also has a weaker grip, but he presets his wrist angle at setup. So where he's got that slight flexion, that slight bow at setup already. So all he needs to do there is maintain it through his golf swing, and then he's got that bowed left wrist. Makes life easier. So I'd say for you guys out there, preset that wrist angle in there a little bit. Get those hands a little bit more forward. The more forward you have those hands at setup, the more it will bow that left wrist. I say to have it really inside your left leg there, so your left thigh. That will really preset a nice bow in that wrist. Now what we want to do as we're going back in the backswing, I like to see, if you've got a weak grip, a little bit of a bowing to start off. So you can see glove logo, for example, here. We'll be talking about a lot about glove logo in this video, pointing down towards the ground. And then as we're swinging up, if we have that glove logo point down towards the ground, the good preset the wrist angle, we're going to be in a flexed left wrist or bowed left wrist position here nicely. So a good drill we can do, we just need a tee. What we're going to do with this tee, we're going to put it in the underside of the glove just like this. So we will get permanent, really good feedback now. If I have one, let's say a cup left wrist, it's going to dig into my forearm, so that's not what I want. But with a weak grip, we know we can't even have it flat. We've got to have it bowed. So what I want to do from here, I want to, as I'm swinging back in my backswing here, I want to make sure that I am getting this stick and the tee here, and this tee is detaching from my forearm here. If that tee is detaching from my forearm, I am then creating a little bit of a bowed left wrist. So weak grip, you want to keep that weak grip, make sure you're bowing it. This will be a brilliant drill for you. So once we've got to the top of the backswing with that weak grip in a good position, we're doing this drill and we're having that gap between, form between the tee and the forearm. And all we need to do from there to maintain this, we need to keep that going in the downswing. We need to keep that lead wrist bowed going into downswing with a weak grip, because if that then starts to cup, or if we're doing the drill, it's going to tell us, but then if it gets flat, that club face is going to open up too much for a weak grip. So we need to make sure we're maintaining it in the downswing. We could almost think of as well keeping that glove logo to where it's pointing nicely down towards the ground as we're turning through. Then we're making that weak grip work for us. So instead of going to a neutral grip for this one, let's go straight to strong, so the opposite side. So strong grip, what we're going to see, let's extreme the strong. So let's say 4 knuckles looking down on our left hand, and then with our right hand, we'll have it a little bit more on the right hand side of the grip, a little bit more underneath the grip. That arrow that gets created between my thumb and the meat of my hand here will then, instead of pointing to my face like a wall of a weak right hand grip, the right hand will then start to point a little bit behind my shoulder here. So what do we do now to make sure our wrist angle is matched up properly? Well, we certainly don't bow it, because we've got a very strong grip. If we bow the left wrist, that club face is going to be so sharp. I mean, I could never be able to hit a good shot from there. But again, we can't even have a flat wrist. So just like with a weak grip, we can't have a flat wrist with a very strong grip, because again, that club face is going to get far too sharp. See there, with a flat wrist, far too sharp. Even just out of habit for making that work, I had a cup wrist. So that's exactly what we've got to do. We got to make it cupped. So what we say not to do with a weak grip, or we say not to do with even a standard grip, we have to do it with a strong grip. We have to keep that left wrist cupped, because a left wrist cupped with a strong grip makes the club face neutral. So how do we do that? How do we get that into our golf swing? So again, setup wise, let's preset it. Make life easy for us. Why try hard to do it in the golf swing when we can preset it at setup there? So what I want to do here, I want to make sure that if I got those hands a little bit more level, I can still have them a little bit in front. The grip itself will preset this cup, because my left hand's all the way on top of the golf grip. But if I have those hands either level or slightly ahead of the golf ball here, see that cup's there, isn't it? So now I can maintain that through my golf swing, and that cup is going to stay there. So if we want to prime this to happen, we want to be making sure that as we're coming back, you can see now the glove logo is pointing away from me. It's pointing up and away. It's not pointing down towards the ground. See what happens to the club face straight away when I do that. Now the logo is pointing more up towards the sky here. So that's where we want to be, kind of takeaway position with our glove logo. You're definitely opposite from the weak grip, and then keep that as we're going up there. And of course, really drill wise, tee again. We're going to use this throughout every single one. But we're going to put this on the opposite side now. We're going to put this on the complete opposite side. So you can see I put it on the underside of my grip here now, or my glove. So if I now have too much of a flat wrist, that tee is going to jab into me on the opposite side of my forearm. So again, I want to create space between my forearm and the tee. It's just on the opposite side. Now that's creating a cup, not too flat or flexed of a wrist. Now all I need to do, maintain that coming down in the downswing with a very strong grip, that cup. And I need to do that again in the downswing, because that's going to keep the club face square. If my grip now, or my wrist angle, starts to flatten, club face is going to close off too much, and God forbid if it flexes or bows in the downswing, that ball's going to go left in a hurry. So if you've got really strong grip, you must maintain the cup even into the downswing. So you could be thinking again there in the downswing, the glove logo pointing more away from you, and boom, you'll be in a nice square club face. So now let's do the standard neutral grip. So with standard neutral grip, we know what that is with our hands. That's 2 to 2.5 knuckles with our left hand looking down. And with our right hand, that's more having it. So your thumb, where that arrow is, the thumb and the meat of your hand with that arrow is pointing more up towards my right hand side, with more my chest area here. Very neutral right hand there. So what we can see here, yep, we need the flat left wrist. So what we're going to be able to do that is, again, let's preset it at setup, because it makes life easier. Why try hard to do it when you can do it mostly at setup? So we need a flat left wrist, of course, because if we have a flat left wrist, we have a square club face. Let's say if I bow it, I can slightly bow it, to be perfectly honest, with a flat wrist, only slightly, and I can slightly cup it a little bit. But that will make other compensations happen in your golf swing. I would prefer to see someone dead flat with their golf swing, with their left wrist if they've got a standard grip. So presetting wise, we want to have that flat left wrist. So what we need it slightly pushed forward with those hands, so it's just on the inside of my left leg. If I have it too level with the golf ball, I've preset a cup. If I've had it too forward, I've preset a bow. So if we want it dead flat, be as neutral as possible, we'll have it just inside the left leg there. Now again, if we just hold that and maintain that through the golf swing, we're all good. But what happens at the takeaway in regards to this glove logo? Because the takeaway, you can see that movement for quite a long time. So we need to be able to have a reference there for a flat left wrist. So reference for that flat left wrist is having it just point slightly angled down. So we know with the flexed, it's pointing down towards the ground. We know with the cupped, it's pointing up and away. For the glove logo here, it's pointing just diagonally down towards the ground, just outside the ball line. Now, if we maintain that from there, boom, I've got that flat left wrist and a nice square club face. So, funnily enough, the drill to do for this is the same drill as the flexed one. We just go less extreme for it. So let's grab a tee. Instead of putting it underneath on this side, like with the cupping, we want to put it on the front side, just like with the weak grip. But now, all we want to do, we don't want to create the gap between the tee and our forearm like with the weak grip. We want to actually keep it so that tee is just nicely lying and resting on our forearm there. We don't want to create much gap at all. And of course, we don't want to cup it because then that's going to jab into our forearm there. So having that in there, where we've got this tee just nicely resting there, if I keep this tee nicely resting against my forearm, not separating, not jabbing into, I'm going to have a nice normal grip there. So that's going to be very advantageous, or nice normal wrist angle. It's going to be very advantageous for us. So we just then need to really get those reps in, really nice preset, nice wrist angle, and then keep it on the way down. Of course, if I'm really making sure that this isn't digging into my forearm on the way down, I'll be good. But with a standard grip, you can have it slightly flexed on the way down. We see a lot of top players doing that who do have a standard grip. They'll slightly flex it on the way down, helps them a little bit with compression, but that is an option. Preferably you would have it dead flat on the way down as well. So as you can easily see there, there's more ways to get the job done in regards to grip. You don't have to have it dead standard. It's an option. You won't go too far wrong having a dead standard, but it's not be all and end all. It's definitely, if someone comes in with, let's say, a weak grip, I wouldn't straight away go to change it. We want to see how you're swinging first before that, and that's the same with a very strong grip. We want to see how you do first, and then go from there whether you need to change it, whether that's a functional option or not for you. So if you learned a lot about this video and how to make each grip work, click that like button, and if you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So before you go changing your grip, make sure if you're matching up your grip type correctly, and then you'll be playing a lot better golf.